that have all led to the results being on hold due to disputes. Why they are suggesting this? Stay with us. The National Coordinator of CODEO, Alfred Ocansey, is our guest tonight. Also, the Electoral Commission has justified the decision to recollate and declare results of some constituencies under dispute, despite the results already being declared. More of that in the next 1 hour here on Ghana Tonight. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
The executives and members of the NDC in the Abla North constituency have accused the Electoral Commission, EC, of secretly contacting presiding officers to collect inaccurate results ahead of Friday's IPAC meeting. At a press briefing on Thursday, the constituency's Director of Elections, David Tonyanga, warned the EC against the practice, describing the Commission's actions as illegal.
We in the NDC Abla North are disappointed because clearly this is the height of desperation, anomaly, and wickedness. A blatant attempt to manipulate due process and rig at all costs the elections in favor of the MPP, even though the NDC candidate, Honorable Abla won and has been duly declared. We want to bring this rather shameful development and chronology of events to the attention of all well-meaning Ghanaians and the good people of Abla North that at this height of clear attempt to rob the NDC of the seat, we would resist any other outcome other than the true will of the people.
The Hohoe parliamentary seat in the Volta region has become a hotbed for the NDC and MPP in recent years, following the MPP's historic victory in 2020. With the seat now back to the NDC after only 4 years, Member of Parliament-elect for the area, Efo Thomas Wolanyo Chepo says the MPP will no longer have a chance of snatching the Hohoe seat in future elections.
Contesting somebody who has been in the system all this while, regional chairman for the entire region, water region, someone who has been an energy minister, someone who has been lands and forestry minister. That's a big fish, not in only MPP, but in our political system. And then there is a young man coming to contest. That's why I said a lot of people see it as something impossible. But with determination and the right people around, we were able to conquer the elephants and got it slaughtered.
The Gas South Municipal Directorate of Health Services says it is laying down measures to prevent the recording of new cholera cases after suppressing outbreak in the municipality. Residents have been advised to adhere to preventive practices in order to avoid infections.
We are getting diarrhea cases, and once it is diarrhea cases, then it means if we are not careful, once the adjoining communities had it, we need to talk about it. Always they should wash their hands, and they must ensure that whatever food that they are going to eat, once it is cooked food, it must be warm. They shouldn't eat cold foods. Once the food has been cooked and it has become cold, they must make sure that they warm it. They should look at the environment within which the food that they are going to buy is being sold. So in the nutshell, we're talking about both personal and environmental hygiene.
Consumer activities at some high trading points in the capital have decreased on Boxing Day. Sales have slightly dwindled in spite of the fact that traders made good returns days before 25th December.
From last week,
last week's pressure was quite intense, but it's not the same as today and yesterday.
Yesterday was slow, but today is better, even though there are more vendors than customers.
They really wanted to enjoy the Christmas very well, that's why
there be markets in it's entirely Christmas season markets.
Sales are really bad. We have not really cashed out like they say.
Baby, most of some pound. Oh, yeah, Antoine, sir. Market in Bibia, say, Bibia, Bassa.
Oh, this morning is on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com until the entire process has ended. Coming up, Vice President and NPP presidential candidate Dr. Bawumia has given some detail on events that led to his early concession of the presidential elections to the NDC candidate and President-elect John Dramani Mahama less than 15 hours after the elections on December 7, 2024. You recall that, in fact, this has gone into the record books as the earliest concession by a presidential candidate in an election in this country. So the Vice President of PP presidential candidate in the just ended 2024 presidential election has given details on events, in fact, that led to his early concession of the presidential elections to John Mahama and President-elect less than 15 hours after the polls ended on December 7 at 5 p.m. Now, speaking to members of the diplomatic corps, the Vice President noted that he resisted advice from some members of the team because he wanted to deflate the growing tensions in the country at the time. Oh, let's take a look at this.
So my whole focus was service. Once I saw the results, and it was clear we were not winning this particular election, I thought it was not good to leave the country under tension for any length of time. In fact, by 3 a.m., we knew that we had lost the election. The Electoral Commission was going to take a few days to get to that conclusion, but our own collation, the data that we got from all the polling stations, was clear that we were not going to win this election. And so the question was, should we wait for the Electoral Commission to go through its processes and then announce in a few days' time, or do I go out immediately? There were different opinions, but I made the decision that it was better to go out. At 3 a.m., it was a bit early. People were sleeping. So I decided that we'll do it at 9 a.m. On Sunday morning. And so we gathered the press, and then I made my announcement that morning to say, you know, my opponent had won decisively and we are conceding the election. And I think that that helped bring down the tension in the country and help the process of the transition. I made that early concession to preserve our peace in Ghana, because otherwise we could have had many, you know, incidents of violence across, and I could see the potential. And so I thought by an early concession, you know, everybody would relax, you know, the winners would relax, and we who had lost would also understand that we had lost. So that was it. And it was also very important that our democracy should be respected. The democracy is about respecting the will of the people. You may think you are right, but the people may express a different view. And so once the people say, this is what we want, that is it. It's no ifs or buts. You accept the will of the people.
Bawumia there, and talking about accepting the will of the people, and in fact giving a sneak preview into what exactly led to him conceding that early, less than 15 hours after the polls ended on December 7, and giving details that there were some contrary views as to what he wanted to do. But he indicates that he prioritized the peace and stability of the nation over and above the other opinions and divergent views coming from some persons that were within and close to him, that he should reconsider, or he should have reconsidered that early concession. But then again, he talks about how the tension was mounting. And in fact, we all saw how things were playing out after polls ended on December 7, right into the midnight of December 8. And he indicates that as of 2 a.m., December 8, they already knew, based on their own coalition, the MPP's own coalition, that they had lost the elections. So clearly, that gives an indication of what was happening at the time and what led to this early concession. At least there's some clarity to it, at least partially now. But we put a question on social media to a number of you, which we have gotten some reactions. And the video you just saw from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was kind courtesy Critical GH, that's TV. It's an online platform that put this out there, and we need to also acknowledge that quite clearly. Now, this is the question that we put on social media. What do you make of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's decision to concede the elections before Electoral Commission declared the results? 89% of the 1,499 of you who responded to this commended him for that it was a commendable decision on his part to have conceded even before the Electoral Commission's final declaration 2 clear days after. 12% of you say that, well, you consider that as a rush. Well, that was not just the platform that we put this question. This was on X, TV3 Ghana on X, when we put this question on our WhatsApp channel as well. And the almost 500 of you, 500 and over of you who responded to this, 498 of you commended Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for the early concession, and 14 of you say, well, you consider that as a rash decision. But there's been a streak of commendation for him for this, and then also the considerations that were indeed outlined by him, reason why he went ahead to do this. Dr. Jonathan Asantewotri is a political analyst and a senior lecturer at University of Cape Coast Political Science Department. He's joining us on Zoom right now. Dr. Jonathan Asantewotri, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, Doc? Hello, can you hear me? It's a bit, the connection to Dr. Jonathan Asantewotri is a bit cranky. We'll try to reconnect and rectify that connection to him. We'll get to him on the telephone and speak to him. There's a little connection problem with the Zoom connection we have to him. But we'll raise him on the telephone right now to have a quick conversation with him on this particular issue, and a number of you who have been reacting to it. Remember, we're also live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and on DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. And the poll, the results that I just read to you, is still running on the TV3 Ghana Facebook. That's the X page as well, so you can go there and still share your thoughts with us. A number of you left us with some comments. We'll get into that shortly here on Ghana Tonight. And Dr. Jonathan Asantewotri, can you hear me? Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Hello? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Now, first of all, I want to find out from you, the many people who have commended, and please put the television off so you listen to me on the telephone. Many people who have commended Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for this early concession. He has just given details of what were the considerations for that decision to concede early, despite the contrary views that other people held within his team. I want to find out how this strikes you.
To be frank with you, the network is terrible.
Yeah, I realize.
You are asking what's my take on Dr. Bawumia's decision to concede early?
Yes.
Well, I think that in as much as it's a bold decision on his part, I think that others too are oblivious to the kind of information that he had, and for which reason he knows very well that his opponents, had already done whatever they needed to do, and they were abreast equally of the information, that cut across the political divide. And so the early concession, others think that he had no option because he had data before him. And some few hours, after the closure of polls, he conceded. And you could also see that Mr. Sami Jemfi was equally in the coalition room, the engine room of the party itself, was equally abreast of the current affairs in terms of the elections and the results that were taking place. So on one side, it is not easy to go into an election with such confidence and bravado, only to end in such an abysmal manner. It is not very easy to conceive. So if it is a matter of pride and not a matter of available data that was before him, then probably he could have decided not to concede that early. But that wouldn't have changed anything. That wouldn't have changed anything because as much as he had the data, the NDC, their main opponent, equally had the data. In fact, I'm reliably informed that back 4 hours after the closure of polls, the NDC had already done the collation of the presidential within a twinkling of an eye with the speed of Usain Bolt. And so, while the democracy sector did, if you dilly-dally a bit, and especially if you saw the kind of delay declarations that was taking place, and certainly that call on his part, obviously, irritated the situation. But be that as it may, I think the reality dawned on him that he had the elections
But then again, if you listen to what I just played to you, he also makes the point that he prioritized the peace and stability of the nation at the expense of everything else. Because clearly, and I know that you were with us throughout the period of the elections, the tensions that were mounting as well, he considered that. And even though there were other people within his team who had contrary views on whether he should concede early or not. That's also one thing you cannot take away, is it not?
Yeah, that's why I said that it's a mark of a great person. But believe me, a pessimist will say that he had no other alternative or option than to concede. But you cannot also take away the fact that its early concession in itself might have created some kind of security stability because of the way and manner. Because, look, Alfred, we cannot. I've sat down, done so many analyses introspection, you see, and I think that there was some kind of grand agenda to manipulate the system, hence the delay in coalitions. Because this is the very first time, not even the period of Mr. Rollins, where we started with the big buses and all those things. We never experienced such a grand agenda of deliberate delayed coalition. That in itself was a security threat to our democracy. And so to have a presidential elections in which he was miserably trounced, of course, he considered the security implications, that was going on. And as the head of the police service itself, he thought it wise to have an early concession, which is not easy though. We can't take that away from him. It is not easy to have to go into an election with that kind of confidence. And so the point is that yes, it is a positive decision on his part to have an early concession, to concede, which obviously shaped up terms of the security threat that the delayed collation posed. And so I think that it was beautiful on his part. But as I have always said, if any person will think otherwise, that we have no other alternative than to concede.
I see. And if you listen to more of the video that I just played from the critical TV GH who put this out, he talks about the fact that as of 2 a.m., that is some maybe 8 hours after polls ended at 5 p.m., the MPP, he said they knew that they had already lost because of the results that they had received from their agents on the ground. I mean, the NDC, you say as well that you have information that they also had a system that they already knew even before 2 a.m. that they had won. I mean, how can the Electoral Commission also improve on its systems so that if political parties by themselves can't put systems and structures in place for them to be able to have their results that early, should we also be having a conversation going forward about how the EC can improve on the turnaround time of when they receive the results and the declaration as well?
I'm struggling to hear you, but I want to do a contextual analysis of what you are saying. Like, why is it that the EC not the top of its brief, as the political parties knew which way the results had gone, isn't it?
Yes, I'm talking about the turnaround time, how swift the political parties are able to know as they collate the results as quickly as possible, how the Electoral Commission can also improve on the turnaround time, the swiftness for which they go through the process of collation and declaration of the results.
Well, if I got you right, unless the commissioners have their own agenda, I think that they cannot in any way convince any Ghanaian that they did not know the actual results beforehand. What they were trying to do was merely an administrative process as a way of ensuring that they got everything right. The commissioners cannot in any way convince me that they were not aware that Dr. Bawumia had lost the elections. In as much as some of them might have considered him as their favorite, so to speak, that they would have won the elections, it was very apparent to the commissioners that something of that, so they had to announce it to the whole world and to the entirety of Ghanaians. And so, if they did not really have any kind of diabolical thing, I think that they could have gone ahead to do the case. But administrative processes ought to be done so that they would do it quite clearly, so there wouldn't be future, misunderstanding here and there. But what this tells us is that, look, we need to improve the administrative processes of collation. As human beings, in the 2020 elections, the EU observers came around, and their report indicated that, yes, the process has always been smooth, but the main problem has always been collation. And so some of us thought that we're going to improve collation this time around the 2024 elections. It's not the fact that the middle-level electoral officers did not have their own agenda of hijacking the process one way or the other by deliberately delaying the process. But I think that going forward, the electoral commissioner or the commissioners will have to improve that particular angle of elections. Maybe they can do some test driving when they are conducting this assembly elections.
I see.
There's a need for them to procure a device like what we use in the bank. When you go to the bank, you just sign on a particular device, and your signature will appear on the screen of the teller. And then you are good to go. You take your money and you leave. So we may have to, if collation is going to be a problem, and of course it is a problem now. Today we are doing recollation, which is against the CIO for serving itself, maybe time will prove that. So I think that they will have to improve upon that particular aspect of the process of conducting elections.
Dr. Santochi, appreciate your time. And that last point that you made is what's going to lead us to our next issue. The issue you raised about recollection, and the matters we're seeing playing out in at least 2 constituencies out of the 9 so far, that 7 of them have been recollected and redeclarations made in 5 of them. This is Ghana Tonight. Dr. Jonathan Asantioche is a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, a political analyst as well, and we remain your Election Command Center coming up next. And matters related to still the aftermath of the elections. We're still dealing with the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. That's what's coming up next right now. CODEO, they've called for a rerun of the parliamentary elections in the Dom Kwabenya and Abla North constituencies. Nearly 20 days after the December 7 polls, the results for these 2 constituencies remain unresolved, with the Electoral Commission yet to make a decision for the final declaration. And in fact, tomorrow there are 2 things happening which we're keeping an eye on here on your Election Command Center and how things are playing out. These 2 issues that we're keeping an eye on tomorrow are: 1, the NDC is billed to have their case heard at the Supreme Court on this particular matter of the Electoral Commission going through the exercise of recollection. Plus, there's another emergency IPAC meeting tomorrow. The IPAC meeting tomorrow has one agenda: to determine the fate of Dom Kwabenya constituency election results, and then also Abla North. So those are the 2 outstanding constituencies out of the 9. We saw on Saturday 7 constituencies declarations made by the Electoral Commission in favor of the NPP. A number of those constituencies had already had declarations made in favor of the NDC, but that was flipped after the Electoral Commission did their recollection on Saturday. But for Dom Kwabenya, Elikpili Makurugu, that's Faustina Elikpili Makurugu, was declared MP-elect on the 9th of December after that election, much against Aaron Michael Kwe, who raised concerns. There are some 3 polling station results that were not added to the results that were declared on that day, putting Elikpili Makurugu as MP-elect. And the NDC makes a case that they have those, that's the pink sheets for those 3 polling stations. The MPP doesn't have it. That's according to what the NDC is saying. But for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Bawumia was redeclared as MP-elect when Abdullahi Abu Babak Sadiq had been declared as MP-elect already. The same with Abla North. This matter is still pending. Tomorrow, we'll see how things play out. There are some 65 polling station results that they are waiting for to add to the Abla North constituency. That one as well is still pending. The NPP produced some 25 scanned pink sheets. The NDC says they are not going to admit those scanned pink sheets. So that is a matter still pending. But then again, let's go to Tema Central. There's been a redeclaration of Charles Forson, even though earlier Ebi Bright was declared as MP-elect. And then for the same as Obuasi East, Samuel Abaji was declared MP-elect on the 8th of December. On Saturday, we saw Patrick Abuaji Yadom redeclared as MP-elect after the Electoral Commission did their processes. And then for Nsoma Deji, there was no declaration as of Saturday. After the Electoral Commission went through the process, Frank Anodompre was declared as MP-elect. And then also for Hafano Southwest, we saw the MPP candidate there, Eric Nana Jiman Prempeh, declared as MP-elect. The same as Techiman South, the Minister in charge of Local Government, Rural Development and Decentralization, Martin Ejaimen Sakosa, declared MP-elect on Saturday. So all the 7 that we saw on Saturday went in favor of the MPP. But for this, that's Abla North and Dom Kwabenya, pending. For the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, they are making a recommendation that because of the issues that Dom Kwabenya and Abla North are facing, they want a redeclaration. That's a rerun of the elections in these 2 constituencies. Albert Ahin is the national coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO. He's joining us on the telephone for a quick conversation on this. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. Now, if you could confirm this proposal you're making for us, that you want a rerun of the elections in Abla North and Dom Kwabenya, and if it is the case, why do you want this to be considered?
looking at the whole situation, it looks like there's a stalemate. In the case of Bawumia, we are told there are about 3 police stations that they don't have anything on record. It's like the pink sheets are not there, so it's very difficult. And what is baffling, what is amazing is the fact that neither of the parties, whether it's NPP or NDC, and even the smaller ones, normally, if you're able to get hold of maybe even 2 pink sheets or 3 from the other smaller parties, where the presiding officer has signed and everybody has also signed, you can use it even when the EC hasn't gotten it, because it's almost the same thing. But in this case, you don't have that of the EC, and you don't even have any coming from the other parties. So how do you declare the result? You see, and then going to the other side too is about the same problem, where we are told the pink sheets have been banned, so they don't have any record of what happened. In the case of Abla North, we also learned that the NPP has gotten the pink sheets scanned, but the NDC will have none of it. They wouldn't want to go with that explanation that they have it scanned. So it comes back to the stalemate that I'm talking about. So if that is the case, and none of them would want to yield, then the obvious choice is either they rerun those polling stations that are affected, or they could just run the whole thing again. That is the only thing that can solve the problem. If there's nothing, they don't have any pink sheets to look on it to declare. You see, if they soften their stance and they want to admit that of the Abla North where it has been scanned, then they can use the scanning one to compare to what the NDC, if they have it. So they can compare and maybe make a declaration. But if they don't have anything, and then there's this stalemate, then the obvious choice will have to be a rerun. And the rerun could be either the police stations that are left or all the police stations.
Right.
That is the obvious choice that they have left.
But for Bawumia, the NDC contends that they have the pink sheets for these 3 polling stations that were not added to the final results declared on that date, which put Fortunelli Plim Akudugo as MP-elect. But according to the NDC, when they went into the IPAC meeting, emergency IPAC meeting 2 days ago, the NPP did not have the pink sheets for these 3 polling stations. Is that the same report that you got? Because I know that you had representation at this IPAC meeting as well, CODEO.
Yes, it is the same report. You see, and is the NPP willing to admit that of the NDC? Would they be happy to see it being used? You see, it's like the other side too. They have the scanned one, and they would have none of it. You see, so nobody wants to yield any territory. It's like we are holding on to the cat, and we're keeping our cat on our chest. So what do we do? It's a stalemate. If they want to go to court, fine. Maybe they can go to court and the court will decide what they should do. But the EC can decide that, okay, if we are not yielding, if we are not getting any solution to it, then maybe we have to do a rerun of the affected police stations, or we do the whole thing.
I see. Zion, I want you to hold on a bit for me because I have on the other line Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, who's joining us via Zoom. Zion, hold on a bit for me. Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC. So that's the proposal from the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. Albert Ayen is the National Coordinator. Dr. Rashid Tanko says this is a stalemate we're experiencing in Bawumia and Abla North. A rerun of the elections in these 2 constituencies should be considered to have a solution to this matter, or the polling stations that the pink sheets are not available, those polling stations should have a rerun of the elections. Is it one that you would support?
Very well. Let me say good evening to you, Alfred, and Mr. Ahin, as well as your cherished viewers. Clearly, there is no stalemate in Domi Kwabenya. There's no stalemate. It's a clear-cut issue. I mean, it's a straightforward matter. I mean, when they did the collation of the results for the 370 areas, I mean, clearly there was a clear winner, a difference of almost 1,400 plus. I mean, there's a clear winner. Then it was left with these 3 polling stations. Now, these 3 polling stations, ostensibly one of it, there's a challenge with that one, of which the Electoral Commission and all the parties agreed, because the presiding officer didn't have the pink sheet for the polling station. So decided to use a presidential specimen pink sheet, the one used for training, and fill in the results. Of course, the commission will have none of that. That's why the political parties did not have copies, because that one did not have carbon copies. It's a specimen one. But the other 2 polling stations, we have carbon copies. We have it, and we tendered those 2 carbon copies in evidence for the commissioners to look at. And they look at it and were satisfied that, yes, these are true copies of their pink sheets. It came from their polling stations. Okay, one of them won by the NDC, the other one won by MPP. I mean, it was very clear that when we met about 2 days ago at IPAC, and our colleagues also looked at it, they didn't have any problem with that. So for them, Domi Kwabenya is not an issue. The issue is just the 1 polling station. And then if the 1 polling station is added to our opponent, still will not catch up electorally. Madam Faustina will still win. So Domi Kwabenya is not an issue at all. The bigger problem is Abla North, of course. And I go with Mr. Ahin. When you have challenge with polling stations that you cannot get pink sheets for it to collate the results, the right thing to do is to go for a rerun in those polling stations, not the whole constituencies. You don't go for a rerun for the whole constituencies again. It is the affected polling stations that you go and do a rerun to make sure that you get the results to add up to the existing collated results. So clearly, that is it. And because we don't do electronic voting in Ghana, and we don't do electronic transmission, nobody's going to accept any scan documents at a collation center. Otherwise, we would have all been challenging results at collation center with scan documents. And you know, I've been saying it time and again, we are in the era of technology. Alfred, I can design pink sheets right now on my laptop. Okay,
but Dr. Ako, the point that Ms. Ahim makes is that at this same IPAC meeting, the MPP did not agree to the fact that even though you have the pink sheets, they don't have it, and so your pink sheets must be admitted for the results in Dom Kwabenya to still hold, that Faustina Makurugu is MP-elect. So to the extent that there is that disagreement, he proposes that even if not a rerun of the entire elections in Dom Kwabenya, for the 3 polling stations, there should be a rerun of those elections. You say you don't agree with that?
Alfred, there was nothing like that. I mean, then the person who told me Sahin didn't tell him truth. Unfortunately, they were not there. I mean, his team, they were not at that IPAC meeting. It was just the political parties. The other members who used to come, they were not there. So there was nothing like that. In fact, the MPP had no problem with it. Their issue was that initially we tendered it soft copies. Okay, we tendered a soft copy of the pink sheet, and that was where they had issues with. So subsequently, we brought in the hard copies, the physical copies of the carbon copies, and they perused it. The commissioners were there, the directors of elections were all there. They all perused it, and they were satisfied with that. That yes, we actually have
the pink sheets. Yes, they were satisfied. They were satisfied. You have the pink sheets.
Yes,
the 3 pink sheets for the police stations.
Yes, I said but we had two of it.
Two. Did they 2 out of the 3? You had 2 out of the 3.
Yes, we had 2 out of the 3.
Yeah. So did they agree that based on the 2 that you have, the results of Dom Kwabenya should still hold, or they still had some issues with the process?
Yeah, they had issue with, and all of us plus the commissioners, because of that 1 pink sheet, which had problem. So tomorrow, that is what we'll be looking at on Domi Kwabenya. It's about that 1 pink sheet. What decision are we going to take about it? And I'm saying that the decision is very straightforward. Add it up to the other opponent. If he still catch up electorate, then we can go for a rerun.
Right.
But if you add it to the opponent and he's still falling short of getting to Madam Faustina, then Faustina will be declared a winner.
I see, and we're working on the lines to get through to Evans Sinamako, who is Director of Elections for the MPP. But at that IPAC meeting a couple of days ago, afterwards, this is what he said to the media. And I want us to take a listen to him while we work on the lines to get through to him.
We know that when all is said and done, the new Patriotic Party candidates, Honorable Ekwefri and Honorable Michael Quay Jr., will be the winners. It just so happened that in Kwabenya, there are 3 polling stations that the EC do not have the pink sheet because in the course of the collation, some people attacked the collation center, and then these pink sheets cannot be traced. And so the EC has asked parties to furnish them with the data we have by Friday, so we still interrogate. Before our data was attacked at the collation center, we had scanned them. We have scanned all the pink sheets in Abla North constituency. Unfortunately for us, the 3 polling stations in Kwabenya, we don't have them. The EC also don't have it. So that is the state we find ourselves now. But we should admit what happened at these collation centers on the said day of collation. People attacked the EC and parties. Why are we not able to tell? There were police people there, the media was there, New Patriotic Party was there. And we've seen videos going around. And so for us, we will still be law abiding, but expect the law enforcement agency, especially the National Election Security Task Force, to ensure that, as they've been ordered by the court, that they provide adequate security for us to conclude collation in these 2 constituencies.
So that's Evans Sinamako, who is Director of Elections for the NPP there. And Dr. Tanko, so he still maintains the point that beyond what you're saying, he believes that Aaron Michael Quay Jr. would be declared as MP-elect, even though he's considered they don't have the pink sheets of the 3. The Electoral Commission also doesn't have the pink sheets of these 3 polling stations. But yet, he believes that Aaron Michael Quay Jr. will be declared MP-elect. That's a departure from what you're saying, or what you've been saying over the last few minutes.
Alfred.
Yes.
You see, my good friend was doing propaganda, but you see, figures don't lie. Can you hear me, Alfred?
I can hear you clearly.
Yes. Now, out of the 370 polling stations so far collated, we are not going back to that one. The NPP had 50,477. The NDC had 51,634. So how come he's saying that they at the end of the 3 polling stations, even if given to them, they still win? How are they going to win?
So that's a difference of about 1,600 thereabout, if what 600. You're saying is anything to go by.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is it. This was what collated. And this was what was used to declare Faustina, without the 3. And so, and the 3, we are saying that we won 2, and they won 1. Unfortunately, the one we won is the one which is in the difficulty, where it was entered in the specimen pink sheet. So if they put it aside, we have 1, they will have 1. And that even so, if they give it to them, where we won't cry, and we still say we'll give it to them, they'll still not come near Faustina. So he was just doing propaganda. I understand them. You know, I mean, they are very hot. They've never seen this devastating defeat before. This is the first time NPP has suffered such a huge blow in their political fortunes. So sometimes it affects their understanding of the political system.
I see.
The way they suffer the defeat. So these are the issues. It's very clear. The figures don't lie.
So by end of day tomorrow, we'll get to know what the decision will be on Kwabenya and Abla North, correct? That's the agenda for the IPAC meeting tomorrow.
The Abla North, I go with Mr. Ahende that, look, if still, because we gave them the option yesterday, this at the IPAC meeting, the NPP who says they have a scan, and we say we are not taking a scan. If you bring your pink sheet, physical one, like how we brought this one, we will peruse it and see the figures therein. If we all agree to it and we think that the authentic one coming from, which he has just agreed publicly that they don't have. They don't have any. So if they don't have any, the only option left is to go for a rerun for the 62 areas, so that we can get a winner for Abla North. But to talk of scan copy, that one there we will not accept anything scan copy. Otherwise, we can also scan something and bring there.
So you support the proposal? You support the proposal for a rerun of the elections at Abla North? But hold on a bit for me.
It's not the running of the whole entire election, but the running of the 62 areas.
62 polling stations that the results are not ready, or cannot be found right now because of the violence and issues that happened in there. Dr. Tanko, hold on a bit for me. Ms. Ian, and I'm going to let you go right now. But then again, you have been Director of Elections for the Electoral Commission in time past, Eastern Regional Director of Elections for the Electoral Commission. You have some experience, even before heading CODEO. Now, with this recollection and then also what we've seen, or we saw on Saturday, the Electoral Commission going through a process of redeclaring certain constituencies that had earlier been declared. What's your view on it? I mean, with your experience at the commission?
Yeah, I remember very well some time back some commissions that were done. I remember vividly that of Crew constituency, I think in 2004. There was one done during Dr. Farijan's time. I was still with the Electoral Commission then, where a return officer was trying to cheat. It was discovered, they saw it, he was apprehended, and he had done a whole lot of funny things there. So Farijan went there, and the whole thing was removed. All the ballot boxes and other things were sent to, the collation papers were sent to the regional office of the Electoral Commission in Sinyani, where they recollated, and then the results declared. And that is not the only place where this thing has happened. I remember when I was in Fantiako, when I was in the Eastern region, there was a case of a return officer who also did a very funny thing. The NDC complained. They brought it to the constituency counting center, and they discovered that the NDC had been cheated by as many as 10,000 votes.
Wow.
So I was then the regional director for the Eastern region of the Electoral Commission. So I discussed with Dr. Farijan, and here again, they had to bring everything to the regional office. We did the collation, then at that time, the result had even been placed on the scoreboard in Accra. But the reconciliation was done, and then the writing, the result was changed. You see, the essence of this is that you would want the voter's choice to be confirmed. You don't go into an election where the voter has exercised his franchise, and then somebody sits somewhere and changes it. And then you as a commission, you also watch it. That will not be fair. So the ultimate is that the choice of the voter should be confirmed, but this is what the voters did. And so you can recollect and correct it. If indeed the EC finds that it is wrong or something untoward had happened, you can do a recollection. So with what happened, I wasn't surprised because it has a history in the commission.
I see. Zion, appreciate your time for this. Thank you very much for joining us. National Coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, Albert in there. And Dr. Tanko, tomorrow you have a date with the courts. The Supreme Court is hearing your case tomorrow. Tell us about it and quickly, what exactly you are seeking in your reliefs.
Very well. Let me quickly correct an expression being put out by Mr. Ahin. You see, Mr. Ahin should have been charitable to the listeners by telling them that under his time, there was CI used to run the election. This current CI was not used in 2004. This current CI came into force in 2020. It has its own regulations. So the regulations used in 2004 and that of 2012 are completely different. And that one, you could do those kind of things. Interesting enough, most of them were not declared. The results were not declared before they were collated. And I'll give you an example. I've been telling them about what happened in Tolong and Yape Kusogo in 2004. I was the Northern Regional Director of Elections. There was no declaration of results. They were in the process of collating when they vandalized the thing, and they came and we did the proper collation, continued the collation in Tamale, and now declared the results. Here we are talking of declarations so made by returning officers. That's what we are talking of. The law says that when a returning officer makes a declaration, he submits the Form 1B to the EC, and the EC duty is just to gazette. After gazetting, if you are not satisfied with the declaration, you go to High Court. But you see, now they've now smuggled in something. When you ask the commissioners to point out in the CI, the current CI 127, which part of the regulation mandates them to do a recollection after a declaration has been made, they can't mention. They can't even point out anything. So whatever they are doing is completely illegal.
Sorry.
And that is what we are saying that, well, tomorrow we have a date at the Supreme Court. We filed this process at the Supreme Court. And that was, the EC was expected to respect the process we filed, but they refused. And I've been saying it, this electoral commission is a very lawless electoral commission. Because they just put some laws among themselves, created some monster, and that one is devouring our democracy. We must stop it.
Right.
And that is why we are going to court tomorrow to hear the law lords, what they would say about it. They must make justice to it. They must look at the procedure.
Right.
Okay, and then and make justice to this matter.
And we'll certainly be there. My colleague and our legal affairs correspondent, Lord Edwasari, will be in court with you. So we'll definitely update our viewers and listeners on this matter. Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. And as always, remain your Election Command Center. We're back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
This is the reason why I love Ghana.
Then the lottery acquiring here. Yenim said Ghana and Nadim Kunim.
We are one. Ghana as one.
We are proud about Ghana. Sabaya 2 years now. Akos asundem ayenshia or how we are.
Africa and the rest of the world salute Ghana.
Don't forget the lottery acquiring stands out. Love all Ghanaians. The lottery acquiring
Through every step of life's unpredictable journey, every moment counts. That's why you need a partner you can always trust for solutions, so you can be rest assured. Having impacted over 200,000 lives, processed over 4.2 million claims, partnered with over 400 corporations, paid out over 836 million Ghana cedis in claims, contracted over 1,600 healthcare facilities nationwide, and pioneered several innovations like free medicine delivery, an interactive mobile app, and more. You'll be surprised what can be accomplished in 20 years. We're part of the Nationwide family. Are you? Nationwide Medical Insurance. 20 years of leading the way.
If whiskey could talk, Johnny Walker Black Label would sing. With notes that only come with 12 years in a barrel. Sweet, smooth toffee, rich fruit, and a touch of smoke. Tastes as good as it sounds.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years of age. Not recommended for pregnant women. This advert is FDA approved.
You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. Well, welcome back. And before we go here on Ghana Tonight, the Boxing Day edition, I'll tell you about the party to expect, the all-white party. A number of you already calling in to join us at the party. We're all going to be there. And this is it. It's all-white party. And it's on Saturday, the 28th of December, 2024, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. And call these two numbers for some more inquiries and details on this and how you can be part of the party. 053-11-00927. That's 053-11-00927, 053-22-00927, 053-22-00927. I'm specially inviting you to be there. I want to see you, sing with you, and dance with you for the all-white party, 28th December, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. Make a date and join us. It's powered by 3FM 92.7. I want to say thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back again tomorrow for another conversation. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage.